A strange weapon has been captured by Ukraine forces, and what they found when they analysed it was shocking, to say the least. This weapon is notorious for wreaking havoc on Ukraine's forces, and there's a good reason why. What makes it so powerful, and what have the Ukrainian forces uncovered by studying it? Join us as we unveil the mystery behind this surprising find and why the weapon gained such a terrifying reputation. The KH-101 cruise missile is a fast and mysterious weapon, and information about it was scarce. Not to mention, it has a long and deadly history. It was first deployed in Syria in 2015. This might have been from two possible bombers, the Tu-160 Blackjack or Tu-95MS Bear. But this isn't where the missiles are most commonly used. Ever since the conflict in Ukraine began, they've been extensively employed in the region. Even in 2023, the weapon's already been used twice. During the April attack on a high-rise building in Uman, a central city in Ukraine was targeted. Later, it was deployed in an overnight attack on the capital city of Kyiv on May 26th. This weapon is definitely modern, but developmental efforts on the missile started during the 1980s. The main goal was to find a suitable replacement for the KH-55, and that mission was a big success. The KH-101 project aimed to create a stealthy air-launched cruise missile, and as a result, it underwent a major external redesign. But don't forget, it was still based on the KH-55 series, so the redesign was mainly meant to make the missile stealthier. Soon, the preparations were all done. The missile conducted its first flight in 1998, but the first images became public in 2007. From the outside, its appearance bears some resemblance to the US AGM-158 JASSM air-launched cruise missile, but don't be fooled, their capabilities are miles apart. The KH-101 boasts a much longer operational range thanks to its turbofan engines, allowing it to travel up to a distance of 3,000 kilometers. And that's what makes this weapon so unique, its sheer speed and power. Since it was meant to replace the KH-55 and KH-555 ALCMs, the KH-101 was designed as a high-endurance standoff cruise missile with an extended range. And it achieves its purpose because it's a weapon that gives the Ukrainian forces a lot of trouble. Using a low-altitude flight course beneath infrared and radar systems, the missile utilizes radar-absorbing composite materials, making it very difficult to detect. Aside from the radar visibility tech, the KH-101 possesses many other unique features. It's a strategic air-to-ground cruise missile, indeed one of Russia's latest and biggest developments. It can also carry a thermonuclear warhead, which changes its designation to KH-102. The KH-101 missiles utilize a complex combined guidance system. What this means is that the missile uses an inertial system with optical and electronic correction, distinguishing it from earlier missile generations. It has the capability to change its target even while airborne. But wait, there's more. This weapon's no ordinary missile. After conducting a couple of tests, Russia claims that the KH-101 has the potential to effectively strike moving targets with remarkable precision, possessing a hit accuracy of up to 10 meters. The missile's nominal circular probable deviation stands at 7 meters when engaging targets at ranges of up to 5,500 kilometers. Equipped with a conventional warhead weighing between 400 and 450 kilograms, there are different types of warheads used too. They can include high explosive, penetration high explosive, and submunitions. This gives the Russian forces more variations and control over how they want to attack. Then there's the nuclear-armed version named the KH-102, capable of carrying a 20-kiloton thermonuclear warhead. This particular variant serves as the primary air-launched nuclear-armed cruise missile for the Russian Aerospace Force. Like we talked about before, there are two Russian strategic bombers that carry the KH-101s, the Tu-160M and Tu-95MSM. The modernized Tu-160 can carry up to 12 KH-101 missiles in 2 internal compartments, while the Tu-95MS holds up to 8 missiles on external suspension. With all this in mind, you can imagine how surprised the Ukraine military was when it shot one down. Yep, a KH-101 was shot down in the country's central Vinnytsia region on January 26, 2023. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, 7 cruise missiles were destroyed that day. The weapons were said to have been a mixture of air-launched KH-101s, KH-555s, and KH-59s, and sea-launched Calibras, but none can be as good of a find as this one. The division oversees the bulk of the country's air defense forces, and they've been slowly bulking up their security too. Ukrainian air defense was able to shoot down the Kh-101s even before the Patriot missile defense system arrived, but without a doubt, shooting it down is beyond difficult. It's the trickiest target, and before the Patriot, anti-aircraft missile troops were forced to launch 2 obsolete missiles from the Buck or S-300 systems to hit one Kh-101 missile. This used excessive resources, but the situation is much different now. With the latest air defense systems and tech, such as NASAMS and IRIS-T, the military is now better equipped to take down this airborne foe. So what have the Ukrainian defense forces discovered? Researchers found radar trap firing devices among the fragments of the Kh-101 missiles. It's no surprise that Russian engineers are quickly trying to look for ways to avoid being detected. It seems like breaking through this air defense tactic has proven challenging, and they need to erase all traces. After all, the main reason Russia upgraded the cruise missiles was to improve guidance accuracy, but it's not an easy feat by any means. Colonel Mykola Daniluk, representative of the Central Military Scientific Directorate of Ukraine's General Staff, highlighted the importance of such findings in February 2023. He believed that because the Kh-101 wasn't able to break through, it had to be upgraded fast. So, in an effort to enhance the optical and electronic guidance system of the missiles, the upgraded guidance system differs a lot, like how it features 3 fixed lenses designed to enhance its accuracy. For comparison, the previous optical and electronic system included only 1 lens mounted on a rotary mechanism, allowing tilt angles of up to 10 degrees. That's a major difference, and Ukraine definitely felt the effects of the greater power. Over time, new modifications appear to increase the Russian missiles' accuracy and lethality, but it's not the only tactic they've been using. The reason why Ukraine hasn't been able to figure out these weapons is because Russia's going through a lot of trouble to erase its tracks. The serial numbers on the missile body are intentionally erased using a grinder, making identification impossible. What's more, the approximate date of manufacture becomes very hard to figure out. But why does any of this matter? Well, the missile's serial number contains valuable information about its year, quarter, batch, and serial number within the batch. By erasing these details, Russia aims to obscure the rate and order of usage of these projectiles, making it challenging for anyone to track their deployment patterns. But wait, this time Ukraine was able to find out some information. During his briefing, Colonel Daniluk highlighted the modifications made to the Baguette 6204 type electronic computing machine in the Kh-101 cruise missile. He argued that these changes serve as direct evidence of the Russian military-industrial complex's reliance on foreign components. According to him, Russia has transitioned to using new chips manufactured by a different company, evident by the variation in the size of microcircuits employed in the latest missiles compared to those in older versions of the missile. But does the wreckage prove this belief? From the images and after it was analyzed by the Ukrainian forces, if you look closely at the outer casing of the flight control unit from this Kh-101, there's a very interesting detail hidden inside. From the outside, it looks like a standard Russian computer, with Russian writing and components on display. But look inside and the truth becomes clear. By examining the concealed motherboards under an electronic microscope, Ukraine has figured out that the internal components that serve as the brains of this machine are predominantly composed of American parts. This could be huge, but what does Russia have to say about this? Officially, the Raduga Design Bureau developed the missile, and the country claims that the missile is put together with only Russian components. Russia truly has some formidable weapons, but that's not to say that Ukraine hasn't been working on polishing up its air defenses. In fact, its ballistic missile defenses have shown remarkable effectiveness, successfully intercepting close to 80% of air and ground-launched ballistic missile attacks across the country. And guess what? In areas where the country's 2 Patriot batteries are deployed, they have achieved a perfect record, intercepting 100% of the incoming missiles. While that's impressive, there are certainly some weapons that can't be stopped easily. The majority of Ukraine remains vulnerable to such attacks, which is also clear from incidents like the Iskander-M strike in Poltava on June 10th, and the Kh-47 strikes around Dnipro on June 22nd in 2023. Ukraine wasn't able to intercept and prevent these missile attacks, so right now there's a lack of adequate protection against such threats, and Russia seems to pick up on this gap. The primary goal seems to be forcing Ukraine to redirect its air defense capabilities to safeguard its cities, which obviously disrupts its strategies. Even though it was first developed under the Soviet Union in the 1980s, the Kh-101 is no doubt one of Russia's most modern air-launched cruise missiles. The wreckage of the Kh-101 missile reveals a clearly visible central body shape. The missile's pop-out wings remain connected to the central body, but there's an issue: the engine's missing from the wreckage. What we already know is that the weapon has versatile guidance options, utilizing satellite or inertial navigation. What's more, it can even utilize a combination of both to enhance accuracy. It also incorporates a radar-based terrain contour matching or TERCOM capability, allowing it to fly at a lower altitude toward the target. Looking at the pictures from the captured missile, there are also radar antennas. They're most likely linked to the missile's TERCOM system. The most impressive feature of the Kh-101 missile is something else entirely though: the Otblesk-U, a state-of-the-art guidance system. The images of the fallen Kh-101 had a lot of secrets hidden within it. If you look closely, you can see a camera behind the circular window. We're not 100% sure what its purpose is, but the camera is most probably part of the guidance system. The projectile uses a digital scene matching area correlation, or DS-MAC system. This system uses an internal database of relevant terrain images to help accurately guide the weapon. Did you know that this DS-MAC capability is also present in specific versions of the US Tomahawk? So how this works is that the Otblesk-U scans the landscape below, which helps make up an accurate picture of the terrain. This ultimately allows it to be resistant to jamming of the Kh-101's guidance system. But there's a catch here. Because of how the Otblesk-U functions, its reliance on specific target recognition becomes a major limitation. It needs pre-existing target images, so to use the missile effectively, you need suitable infrastructure and qualified personnel for data gathering and processing. This is exactly why the Otblesk is only used by the non-nuclear Kh-101 missile, and only when it's close to the target. Other than during the terminal guidance phase, the less accurate but less demanding TERCOM radar system is used. Of course, that also means that you won't find this system anywhere on the nuclear-armed Kh-102 either. The technology still needs more work to have maximum efficiency, but the weapon isn't yet at that point. Going back to the images of the downed missile, another angle reveals a section with 12 circular holes neatly arranged in 2 symmetrical rows of 6 each. This certainly is a strange weapon, since the exact purpose of these apertures is still unclear. What could be the possible reason for them? Well, these holes might serve as a dispenser for countermeasures, possibly containing cartridges filled with radar-confusing chaff. A simple radar warning receiver might be used to automatically activate these countermeasures after it detects a specific pre-programmed radio frequency emissions. Of course, this would be under certain conditions, and the missile could even be pre-programmed to deploy at specific points of vulnerability along the flight path. There have been some reports in the past that the Kh-101s have a small internal electronic warfare jammer, or even towed decoys for self-defense. But before Ukraine's forces captured the weapon, none of these rumors could be confirmed. There's also another fact that supports the existence of these dispensers. If you look at Soviet-era fixed-wing aircraft and helicopter designs, you can see some glaring similarities between the countermeasures dispensers. Some of these types remain in Russian services even today. And guess what? The holes found on the captured Kh-101 have striking similarities to the countermeasures dispensers commonly observed on other aerial target drones, such as the American BQM-167 Skeeter. This supports this possible theory and also highlights what the potential role of such gestures could be in combat operations. In actual combat scenarios, target drones equipped with countermeasures possess an invaluable secondary function. Basically, they play a critical role in helping friendly aircraft and missiles navigate through hostile air defenses by deploying these countermeasures effectively. By creating diversionary paths and protecting against detection, they serve as a shield, offering strategic advantages to the attacking forces. So you can see why they're needed and why they offer such an advantage. One prominent example where target drones with countermeasures proved their worth was during the initial phases of the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. Firebee target drones loaded with chaff were actively utilized to create safe corridors for Allied aircraft and missiles to penetrate enemy air defenses. Considering the similarities between the Kh-101's apertures and countermeasures dispensers, it opens up interesting possibilities for the missile's tactical application. The presence of such features suggests a potential capability to divert and mislead enemy radars, enhancing the missile's survivability during its flight trajectory. While the exact purpose of the apertures on the Kh-101 remains unclear, This discovery provides valuable insights into the missile's design and high-level self-defense systems, such as whether these high-grade weapons can be used as countermeasures or decoys. There's also another possible reason. Russian forces might have employed denuclearized Kh-55 missiles without warheads in strikes on Ukraine, possibly as decoys due to a shortage of precision standoff munitions. After all, these modified missiles have a weighted dummy plug in place of their warhead. This diversionary tactic would force opposing forces to allocate valuable resources and attention to neutralizing these seemingly viable targets, playing into the hands of Russian forces. But here's the thing, it doesn't seem likely that Russia's military would use the more advanced and valuable Kh-101s solely as decoys, considering their modernity and capabilities. Keeping this in mind, the apertures may have a purpose other than self-protection, and one possibility could be that they serve as a utility interface or vent system, but no one can say for sure. Regardless of the exact reason, one thing's for certain, this isn't the first time that the Ukrainian conflict has unveiled a concealed countermeasures capability on a Russian missile. In fact, the deployment of Iskander-M short-range ballistic missiles by Russia during the early stages of the conflict unveiled a lot of hidden capabilities. The fact of the matter is, throughout the Kremlin's ongoing war against Ukraine, long-range missile strikes targeting Ukraine's cities and infrastructure have remained an unrelenting feature. A CSIS report titled Putin's Missile War highlighted a simple fact. Russian missile attacks in 2022 resulted in significant damage to Ukraine's economy and infrastructure. No one can deny that. And yet they fell short of achieving the decisive strategic impact that Moscow had likely planned. As we move through 2023, Russia has kept using crazy expensive missiles in frequent attacks on many civilian and military targets across Ukraine. The focus of these strikes continually shifts, and their intensity fluctuates, just like the quality of the ammo used. But if one thing's clear after the long strike campaign, it's that Russia isn't going to run out of missiles, and the technology to make them bigger and better is only getting more advanced. In fact, they're only getting faster and bringing more damage. Despite facing sanctions and export controls, production for these weapons isn't decreasing. It's likely that for the indefinite future, Russia will manage to develop or obtain the long-range strike capabilities needed to inflict considerable harm on Ukraine's population, economy, and military. That's not to say that Ukraine's air defenses haven't been seriously impressive in their own right. With the situation at hand, the military forces have tried their best to keep up. But the reality is that the Russian military continues its efforts to identify weaknesses that can be exploited to gain an upper hand in this ongoing conflict. Despite all else, such captured weapons prove to be valuable resources. Why? They allow the Ukrainian forces to study relatively intact advanced Russian weapon systems and military equipment. Authorities have been actively exploiting these discoveries for intelligence purposes, and what they revealed is very interesting. Much of Russia's arsenal, including the Kh-101 missile, heavily relies on Western electronic components. More research will surely yield more results, possibly identifying more foreign components. On its own, Ukraine will use the down weapon to improve its own defenses and knowledge of the invader's arsenal. This captured Kh-101 really offered some strange new details about one of Russia's most modern air-launched cruise missiles. That's all we've got for today's video. If you like it and want to see more, drop a like and consider subscribing. See you in the next one.